In this module, we're going to perform a basic installation of Jabber for Windows on a Windows 8.1 machine. First and foremost, we're going to cover the installation process for the custom MSI that we previously created in the last module. We're going to, once successfully installed, demonstrate the login and logout processes for Jabber for Windows, and we're going to show you some basic connectivity validation steps with Show Connection Status. Now that we've created our custom Jabber setup.msi, we can walk through a basic installation of the Jabber for Windows application. I'm using a Windows 8.1 system here, but this process will be very similar on Windows 7 and previous environments. We're going to start off by double-clicking the custom Jabber setup.msi. Now, if you'll recall, this is the MSI that we created using the Microsoft Orca tool, and it contains some customizations. In particular, we set clear to 1 to delete any existing bootstrap information that existed. We set services domain and voice services domain to cisco.lab, and we set excluded services to WebEx because we don't want to go out to the cloud and try to look up WebEx accounts because this is an on-prem deployment. When the Jabber installer launches, we'll see our typical end-user license agreement, so we'll go ahead and we'll click Accept and Install. It'll take a moment here, and we'll get a pop-up screen that Windows is asking because of UAC, the user account control. Are you sure you want to let this program make changes to your computer? We'll go ahead and say yes. And we're going to wait for the installer to proceed. It's going to copy the required files to the default installation location and make the necessary registry entries. Once the file copy has concluded, we'll be prompted with a message to let us know that the installation has completed. Most times, it is not required to do a reboot after the installation of Jabber for Windows. Now that we have installed the application successfully, we get a notice, and we can either launch Cisco Jabber, we can show the Windows installer log, or both. I'm going to go ahead and not launch Jabber just quite yet, but I am going to show the Windows installer log. You'll notice here in the installer log that we have various entries that have been written that show us exactly what has happened during the installation process. So if you have a problem with your installation, you can scroll through the log and observe the various entries that have been made. I'll close the installation log for now. I'll close my Explorer folder here, and you'll notice up here on the desktop we have an icon for Cisco Jabber. Now, before I launch that, I'm going to take you into the Start menu and show you one more thing. You'll notice that we have two entries under the Cisco Jabber entry. One is Cisco Jabber. The other is Cisco Jabber Problem Report. If you're ever having issues with the Jabber for Windows client, and you're working with Cisco TAC, and they would like you to collect a problem report, you can launch the problem report application outside of the Jabber app to collect log files and such. The reason that they created this outside of the application is some errors with Jabber are fatal and cause the application to not run at all. So by having the problem report external, we can still easily collect logs and data on those types of problems. If you try to collect a problem report from within the app, it follows the same process and looks identical to the Jabber problem report application. I'll go ahead and click on Cisco Jabber to launch the application. And what we're looking for here is an experience that prompts the user for a username and password. And you'll see here it says enter your username and password. So we'll go ahead and we'll type in my username, which is Josh. And we'll type in my password. And there's a checkbox here, and this is optional, but I prefer to check it. Sign me in when Cisco Jabber starts. So I'm going to go ahead and check the checkbox. Now, before I log in, I'm going to click the Advanced Settings button and let you observe that there's no configuration present here in the Advanced Settings window. If you were doing a manual installation, you would likely specify an account type or a login server, etc. But we chose to use Jabber Service Discovery to learn this information, so it's not required that the user do any configuration. I'll simply click the Sign In button, and if everything's correct, I should be signed straight into the Jabber for Windows client. Now, if you look at the top of the screen, you'll see a drop-down bar. If I hover my mouse over that drop-down bar, you'll see the Search or Call dialog box pop up. This toolbar is part of Jabber for Windows. If I want to show the full-blown client, I can go to the hub window icon on the right and click it. You'll now see the Cisco Jabber application has launched. There are a couple of things I want to draw your attention to that can be used as an indicator that things went well. First off, look at my name. You notice how it's in the first name, last name user format? If it were showing up here using my email address rather than my first and last name, that is an indicator that directory services are not configured properly and that the directory lookups are not working. But since I see first name and last name, things are great. You'll notice to the left of my name, we have the green jelly bean that's showing my presence state as available. And if we were using icons or avatars, you would see the thumbnail image, but I only have the silhouette because we're not using those in my environment. I'm going to show you how to close the application now, and there are two options here. You can either go to Sign Out or Exit. If you click Sign Out, you're going to sign out of the application, but it's going to remain open. If I click Sign In again, it will simply sign me in, and you'll notice that it has maintained my credentials. If I exit the application, that will sign out and exit the app entirely, and I'll need to relaunch it. If you have problems in the application and want to see if it is able to connect to all the servers that it is communicating with, you can click on the menu, go to Help, and Show Connection Status. Show Connection Status is going to show us the connections to each of the systems. So we currently have a SIP connection error, which is to be expected because we haven't configured phone integration as of yet. We'll be covering that in a separate video. Likewise, desk phone integration is not connected. Voicemail is not connected because we don't currently have a Unity system running. That will happen here in another video when we set up visual voicemail. Presence is connected, which is exactly what we're hoping to see, and we'll see that we're connected to imp01.cisco.lab, which is our presence server, and we're using the XMPP protocol on port 5222. I can click Close to close the connection status window. I can click the menu, and I can click Exit to close out of the Jabber application entirely. In this module, we covered basic installation processes for Jabber for Windows using the custom MSI we previously generated. We demonstrated how to log in, log out, and exit the Jabber application so that you understand what's different in its behavior between those various modes. And we showed you how to use the Show Connection Status menu option to do basic connectivity validation for each of the systems that Jabber for Windows is responsible for communicating with. In the next module, we're going to cover basic operations of the Jabber for Windows client. We're going to log in, we're going to look around, show you the basic features and how to use them. This will be real helpful as you prepare to train your end users. So with that, we'll say thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.